pursuing your education is more important than ever, because how do we grapple with things like a global pandemic? How do we find solutions? How do we have critical conversations with our peers and with the people we work with if we're not educated?
Hi, I'm Kevin Coleman, and on today's program, we're talking about higher education and what that looks like in Whatcom County. Today, I have Carmen Green. She is Associate Director for Outreach for Whatcom Community College. Welcome, Carmen.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So things have been changed dramatically with higher education since all this has happened with COVID. So tell us a little bit more about what Whatcom is doing during this time for those who don't know about your organization.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. It has been just a whirlwind of changes. I think one of the ways we've really tried to shift our services is understanding that right now our campus is the internet. Our website and our virtual presence is the entire campus experience that students really get to have. So really driving a lot of efforts towards making sure our web presence is refreshed, and that there's opportunities for students to zoom in and talk directly to a human being right away, and not feel like they're being put on hold on a phone line or waiting for an email response. So just I think a lot of cross-campus collaboration to make sure our virtual presence is really student-centered, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. As a community college, we aren't as up to date with all of the newest technologies that are available, but we're really doing our best to still have that human element to the Whatcom Community College experience.
So the campus is closed, if I'm not correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
and I know that you guys just got done building the entire student housing and everything else. And so where does all that lie right now?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I mean, the timing of obviously viruses aren't really looking out for people's like building calendars and being considerate. But yes, this fall 2020, we're opening a brand new dorm hall, which is called Cedar Hall. And then our Learning Commons as well. So they're really beautiful buildings. The Learning Commons is especially exciting. There's all kinds of collaborative space, a maker space. There's a rooftop balcony for students. So as of right now, our Cedar Hall is still accepting applications, and we're going to be welcoming students to still move in. The building will be at 50% capacity, and then really doing everything we can to sanitize and have good policies in place to keep students safe. But really it's a home for students, and people need homes no matter what. So still going to try to roll that out. In terms of the Learning Commons, it probably won't be in full use until we're back on campus, but it's one of those exciting things to look forward to. So yeah.
Yeah, so you guys have made a lot of shifts and pivots in order to make sure that the students can actually still stay educated and finish their studies and graduate.
Yeah, shifts and pivots is like the tagline of of this year. Shifts and pivots every day.
And so you are celebrating graduation too for 2020, aren't you?
We are, yeah. So today is a really celebratory day. It's Juneteenth, of course, so a lot of our staff are wearing red today to commemorate that holiday and celebration. And then later this evening, we also have our virtual graduation ceremony. So yeah, it's a really exciting culmination of students' experiences. It's not the usual. We usually have our rec center kind of packed to the rafters with families and friends and all of that. But still the marker of students having completed a degree and finishing their education is really exciting. And the hope is that all of that hard work will still amount to something awesome in their future. So yes, that is happening this evening.
Nice. What have you noticed about the campus with the business and the community during this time that you probably wouldn't have noticed before? And that could be good or bad. Everybody's experiencing things differently.
Yeah. I think this has been, it's been a wake-up call for our campus in terms of how staying up to date on technology and service is not just an extra, right? That's not just a nice fluffy addition to add to what we do as a campus. It's really a necessity. And if we want to serve students in a timely way, if we want to provide communications in the most equitable fashion, that we need to have the tools in place to do so. So I think it's been a really big wake-up call for that. I think that we're lucky to be in a community where we see a lot of great examples of how other businesses and industries are responding to our ever changing daily landscape. So things like, doing the Orca food pantry food pickup. I feel like that was something that was kind of informed by watching how the Bellingham Food Bank was able to carry out that type of work, and seeing how the local high schools were able to do an awesome virtual graduation ceremony. And so really kind of, I think, pulling together as a community to engage with one another's innovative ideas to make the best experiences for whoever we're serving, whether it's restaurant clientele or students getting their degrees. So I think that amount of creativity has been really encouraging.
So Carmen, what's happening in the fall this year with the new students coming in for fall 2020? How's that looking?
I'm so glad you asked. So although we will be offering the majority of our classes online, we're still accepting applications, of course, and there's still plenty of time to prepare for fall 2020. So, students can still apply. If any students have questions about that process of getting started, sending transcripts, placement, testing, they can reach out to me personally at outreach@whatcom.edu. And we can get you started on your classes for fall. And then we also have many of our classes, or some of our classes, will have a virtual meeting opportunity. So those particular classes students will want to be really aware of, because those classes, while held online, there's going to be specific times where you have to log in and be engaged in virtual conversations with your classmates. So we're just wanting students to be really mindful of when they're registering for classes. Make sure you're aware, is this one that I do on my own time virtually, or are there consistent virtual meeting times?
If you could leave people with a thought or a message from this interview today, what would that be?
Wow, what a big question, huh? I think for me right now, it's this really interesting moment in time. There's all these layered things happening, whether it's the coronavirus, a global pandemic, which I've never experienced in my lifetime, or the social movement for justice for Black people in this country, and really reckoning with our history. It's this really interesting convergence zone where people are staying at home. And so we have the time and the space to listen and to learn. And education is critical in that, right? It's an essential piece of that process. So to me, even though our delivery looks different, we're not in classrooms necessarily, we're meeting online, we're connecting virtually, pursuing your education is more important than ever, because how do we grapple with things like a global pandemic? How do we find solutions? How do we have critical conversations with our peers and with the people we work with if we're not educated? So I think we're coming to this place and in this moment where it's not just to have the degree, not just to get the dream job after, but to better yourself as an individual, to better your community. I think education is so critical. One of the reasons I love working at Whatcom Community College is that community colleges were really designed to serve the community, and that's what we still try to do. So we are, we're not a large, massive university. We're not an Ivy League school, but we provide an excellent education, and it's really about the student and their experience and their learning. So yeah, just that education is as important as has ever been, if not more so.
I totally agree with you, Carmen. I appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you for what you do in the community, and keep us up to date of what's happening with Western as we go along, or Whatcom as we go along.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really appreciate everything that you do. So thank you for being here today. It's been great having you.
Thanks, Kevin.